Hello everyone, and welcome to my latest Starfield build, the Pirate Ravager. This is the first of many pirate builds to come, so I hope you end up sticking around and enjoying it. As a background for this character, I chose File Not Found. I already had an idea for a backstory, and this would fit in nicely. And when it comes to skills, starting with a rank of Wellness, Ballistics, and Piloting all comes in handy. When it comes to traits, I picked up Neon Street Rat, Wanted, and Alien DNA. Neon Street Rat is good for any character taking the criminal route, as Neon is the place to go if you're wanting to break the law. Wanted just makes sense for a pirate-style character, and the damage boost at low health really synergizes with a couple of other things with the build. The first of which being Alien DNA, which gives extra health and oxygen, at the expense of healing and food items not being as effective. While this trait really is a true trade-off, it works well for this character and the way they play. To kick off skills, we're starting with Physical. We already have one rank of Wellness, but I decided to max it out. This gives a 40% boost to your health. Combine that with Alien DNA, and you really end up with a big health pool. I believe my character at the end had over 1,000 hit points, which is pretty good for Starfield. I also threw on a single rank of Stealth. Having the stealth meter up top is super helpful, and while this character certainly isn't a sneaky character per se, a single rank is good for safely stealing things. Another skill we're just getting a single rank of is Gymnastics, and this is for a bit of utility, as it lets you slide. That's the whole reason I got it. A couple of skills that are truly helpful are Energy Weapon Dissipation and Pain Tolerance. These both heavily reduce the damage you'll be taking, and you even get a chance to reflect energy damage back, which is pretty cool. Final skill in the physical tree is Rejuvenation. Just a single rank of this allows you to regen your health, albeit only when you're out of combat. This is a big help considering the fact that healing items aren't as good for this build, so not needing them after a fight is super helpful. You can also get higher ranks of this at future levels in order to make the healing occur all the time. Onto the social tree now, where there's only a few different skills. First is Scavenging, which I got 3 ranks of. This is going to give you more ammo and healing items, both of which you will be expending in large amounts. I also grabbed a single rank of Theft, less because I wanted to pickpocket, and more just a case of it fits with the vibe of the character. This is definitely an optional skill, but if you want to do more stealing, then grab this. Additionally, I grabbed a rank of Deception, which is much more helpful. This gives you a better chance of evading contraband scans, and also lets ships a little stronger than you instantly surrender to demands of piracy. In the combat skill tree, the only one I went with was Ballistics. Both main weapons I went for are ballistic based, but one's a pistol and the other's a rifle. In order to try and maximise efficiency a bit, I just went with the ballistic skill in order to crank up the damage. There's nothing in the science tree, so we're jumping straight into tech. Like with every build, you'll want to grab a rank of boost pack training in order to actually use boost packs. After that, I also grabbed an additional rank of piloting in order to boost manoeuvrability in the ship a bit. I didn't worry about additional ranks as I wanted to keep this build to Class A ships for the time being. Next up, we have a trio of points in the security skill. This will allow you to break into any locked container or computer in the game. Now nothing is out of your reach. Final skill I grabbed was a rank of Targeting Control Systems. This is a real handy skill, especially if you want to steal ships. By targeting and disabling the engine of the final ship you fight in space, you can board it and then attempt to steal it, or at least loot all the stuff on board. For our weapons, there's 2 to focus on. First is the Keel Hauler. This legendary pistol has some kind of terrible effects based on how it works, but fortunately it does work well. It's a mag-shot weapon, so dishes out some real solid damage. The real star of the show though is Revenant. With an extended mag and the lacerate effect, this thing literally shreds. It's a real powerhouse of a gun, but it does eat through ammo like nobody's business, so you might also want to grab other good random epic or legendary ballistic weapons that you come across. Thanks RNG. When it comes to a spacesuit, I went with a Pirate Corsair spacesuit which looks great. In my opinion, this is one of the best looking suits in the game. Unfortunately, I didn't get a rare, epic or legendary version, but the basics still had decent resistances. For boost pack and helmet, I just went with whatever I could find which did a decent job of protecting me. Wasn't too concerned about aesthetics here. Where I did worry about that was with the apparel piece, the red pirate captain gear. While this was chosen entirely for the look, a boost to crit damage is still nice to have. Onto the spaceship now, and here I went with the Crimson Hymn. This is a modified version of the Varun Hymn that I made, and which you can expect to see a ship build video for soon. Make sure to subscribe for that. In broad terms though, just start with the Varun Hymn, paint it red, and change it up a little to be better for all your piratey needs. It shouldn't be much of a surprise that the Crimson Fleet is going to be the main faction this character will be joining. It's where you're going to get your equipment, ship upgrades, and best friends from. Go all out with the fleet. Fleet is life, fleet is love, fleet is everything. Additionally, you might want to head to Neon and pick up any side quests you can there. There's a lot of small jobs to pick up which let you break the rules and make some creds while doing so. On to followers now, and your main follower will be Mathis Castillo. You'll meet him on the first proper Crimson Fleet mission, and it's important here to be on his side throughout, and recommend he gets a place in the fleet at the end. By doing so, you'll then be able to grab him as a follower, although not until after you finish the main Crimson Fleet quest. In terms of crew for your ship, there's only a couple of spaces free, so I went with Vasco and Jessamine Griffin. Vasco is great to have in your ship, boosting shields, EM weapons, and giving an extra bar of power. And he's got no morals, so all the crimes you commit are 100% fine for him. He's basically the dog meat of this game. Jessamine, on the other hand, is an out-and-out pirate, who you can hire up on the quay. You'll find her at the bar, and she's happy to join your crew, albeit for a price. While not as effective a crewmate as Vasco, she does boost your ship's ballistic weapons, and will occasionally give you cash, slowly paying for herself. When it comes to playing as this character, you're going to want to lean fully into the pirate life. Fly through space and threaten any ships you come across. If they give up their cargo, great! If not, either blast them apart or destroy their engines and steal the whole ship for an underwhelming profit. On the ground, you can make a lot more money by just killing anyone who gets in your way. In combat, you are an absolute tank. With all the extra health and damage reduction factors, it takes a real sustained effort to actually take you down. You should be able to brute force your way through nearly every fight. The Keel Hauler has a super low mag size and is full auto, so you want to use it as a point blank blaster. It should be able to cut through a single enemy in about a second, but isn't so great when you've got a lot of enemies fighting you, as you'll be spending most of your time reloading. The Revenant, on the other hand, has a huge magazine size and is perfect for clearing multiple enemies. Genuinely, the only real problem with this weapon is how quickly it eats ammo. As such, do be a little conservative with it, and sometimes let the bleed damage take out your target, rather than just unloading fully on them. As for roleplaying, be a pirate. Steal stuff, kill those that get in your way, and do every single Crimson Fleet side mission you can get your hands on. The pirate Ravager did not have a good life, and how could he? Growing up in poverty on the streets of Neon meant there were no real options available to him. He had to steal just in order to survive, but even that didn't go well. He'd regularly be caught by security, and rather than throw a kid into the jail, they decided to teach him a lesson instead. The beatings never changed his circumstances, and just meant that an already tough life just became even worse. Because of the endless struggle, when a shady medical company headed to the back streets of Neon looking for people to test a miraculous new drug on, he signed up without hesitation. Things couldn't get much worse. So what did he have to lose? The company picked up about a dozen Neon residents and took them off-world, heading to a distant planet where they'd set up a private facility. Here they began the experiments, and the patients entered a whole new world of pain. The beatings had been nothing compared to what the doctors subjected him to. It only took a month for the rest of the people picked up alongside him to all pass away, the pain of it all simply too much for their bodies to bear. But for the Ravager, things were different. Years of suffering had hardened him enough to just barely withstand the horrors of experimentation. As such, the experiment succeeded. The doctors had managed to change him, and gathered all the data they needed. They knew he was weakened from the whole experience, and simply left him behind when they were done. All the staff flew away, and left him to fend for himself on this barren planet. For possibly the first time in his whole life, luck seemed to be on his side. He was able to scavenge around for food and found enough to sustain him for several weeks, and when the food finally ran out, a ship landed. It was a mining vessel carrying several workers who had come to the planet looking for rare minerals. What they found instead was the near-death pirate Ravager. Taking pity, they took him with them, and did the best they could to nurse him back to health. Afterwards came the awkwardness. It had cost them a fair bit in terms of supplies in order to keep him alive, and not having a single credit to his name, he was unable to just pay them back. Instead, he agreed to work off his debts to them by joining the mining crew. After this all goes wrong, he has his first encounter with the Crimson Fleet. While he is fighting against them, he comes to the realization that they've got the right way of things. Everyone in this universe simply seeks to use you in some way. In such a cruel world, it's far better to be the one inflicting the pain than it is to be on the receiving end. With his mind made up, he will take his first steps towards taking control of his life for the very first time. If you enjoyed that build, please do like and subscribe, as there's plenty more Starfield content coming in the future. Share this video anywhere that accepts Starfield character builds, and feel free to comment if you have any types of builds you'd like to see me make. As always, thanks for watching. Sarge out.